Do this. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wake and Bake episode 22. You know, each week, each day that I start these Wake and Bakes, I swear I get it wrong. Today I wrote 21. The day before I wrote 20. The day before I wrote 19, when it was already the 19th, the 20th, the 21st. So today I managed to get it right. I went back and I made sure everything was legit. And we are in the 22nd episode of the Bake of the Wake. Of course, we've had a couple of hash churches in between, so that's the only day of the week I haven't done these. But it seems like, for the most part, people are enjoying these little wake and bakes. We got 55 people, 55 people, in the room already. And it is 9:04 a.m. here on the West Coast. The best coast. That's not true. I love everywhere I go in the world. If I'm on the East Coast, if I'm on the West Coast, if I'm in another country, I find pretty amazing people everywhere I go, so I gotta say I'm not really caught up on thinking where I live is the best. I just like wherever you are, that's the best right there. So whether you're in the Midwest or in the South or in the North or on the West or the East, it's all good. Yes, chat did explode, didn't it? We went live and now it's like people are here. I think I saw Heavy Icer, Wax in the room, Adam Walker, Lusterburn, Jesus. We have Jesus Christ in the room, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus fucking Christ is in the room right now. Where to begin? I suspect it should begin with a bong rip, because that makes sense. The show is called Wake and Bake. It would be strange if we just went on and on and on. Hey, what's going on? Martin Copeland in the house. Jacob Bodner, Farmer Joe, Sconus Dank, Keegan Thomason, Woody Cooper, Root to Cure. All right, I'm going to light this loud-ass torch and get bacon on my wakin'. Yeah, big up to you too, Christopher Murphy. And I think we got a birthday. 12345X is having a wake and bake birthday. 12345X Master, I believe it was. And so why don't we all say happy birthday to 12345X Master. And no, Skunkman Sam does not have an Instagram. That would be cool if he did, though. It would be cool if he did. We're going to wake and bake with a little bit of rosin from Dry Sift. So I took some of the Dry Sift I had and made some lovely rosin. Just a little piece of it. I'm going to be using the Jack Frost Terpene vial, which is coated in terps. This is, of course, from Blue River Terpenes. Bonjour! Hello from Bordeaux, France. Bordeaux, France is pretty beautiful. I drove through there from Paris on my way to Marseille. Back in 1989. I was only 16 years old the first time I went to France, but I'll tell you, I had an amazing time. Hung out with my bro skateboarding in Lagny-sur-Marne, 20 kilometers southwest of Paris, and we went and we hung out in Lyon a little bit, and of course we hung out in Marseille. All right, Wake and Bakers. Oh, that was nice. That was lovely. Oui, je parle français. Absolument. Je suis Canadien. Je vais parler français. Tous les Canadiens parlent français. Which isn't really true. All Canadians do not speak French. But if you're from out east, a higher percentage are going to be speaking French for sure. I'm from the middle, and a good chunk of us speak French as well. Woo! I have not come to Quebec in quite some time. I got to get back there. Good morning, all of the kind sirs and the kind madams. If we even have any madams in the room. I know the Bubble Man tends to bring in more of the boys or the men than the girls or the women, but that's okay. I'm all for equal rights. Glad you like it. It was a shirt that I made for a party that I threw in Barcelona. That one has not wanted to come off for the last couple of days. Got a little bit of mild chaz on that one up on the top here. You can see it through the glass right here. Gonna have to get that one off. Bring all the boys to the yard. John Butler. Wouldn't that be cool if that was the John Butler from the John Butler Trio? Hey, how about R.I.P. to Colonel Bruce Hampton from the Aquarium Rescue Unit? Unbelievable, incredible jam artist, crazy guitarist, really bluesy guy. He was having a big celebration for his birthday. I think it was his 70th birthday on May 1st yesterday, and you can Google it and look it up. Poor Taz, young, incredible guitarist who was actually Colonel Bruce fell right at his feet. There was incredible people from Phish and all sorts of different bands. Warren Haynes was on the stage, and he just passed out. He just died while everyone was jamming. He fell down on the stage kind of slow, fell at the feet of Taz, the little guitarist kid. I think he's 12 or 13, and he died. They didn't even stop jamming. The jam kept going on for a little bit before they actually realized what was happening. And so I wanted to send out positive thoughts to all of the people that enjoy Colonel Bruce's music, but of course to Colonel Bruce's family and friends and the jam band community. Yes, rest in paradise, brother. You died doing what you love. It's a gift very, very few of us will be given in our deaths, so you got to have it. Sorry for Taz, young kid, you passed away right at his feet, and that's sort of sad, but I suspect Taz is going to live a very rock and roll life, and having epic, legendary guitarists die at his feet is probably a metaphor of what we will see to come from young Taz. So why don't we raise our glass or whatever it is you're smoking, and we're going to hit a little rip right now for the Colonel, and for all the jam band community for that matter. I mean, my goodness, what a way to end a life. Just incredible. Incredible. No, Taz didn't die. Colonel Bruce died. Taz, and you can look up Taz, is Brandon Niederroeder. Okay, Brandon Niederroeder, or Taz, T-A-Z, is one of the most incredible young guitarists you'll see. Google him. His last name is spelled Niderauer. And you should be able to just find him as Brandon Taz. And the kid is absolutely slaying it. You can even watch the video of Colonel Bruce passing away at the jam, if you can imagine. I'm not much for sharing stuff like that, but we live in a funny world these days. It's hard to explain. Whoops. One more rip for the Colonel. Yeah, the kid is completely ridiculous. I mean, listen, when you're on stage with who he gets on stage with, it's quite obvious that you're going to be, next level. Next level. All right, so everyone ready to have a blast? Let's toke up, Tug. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be medicating here on this beautiful Tuesday morning at 9/11. It's possible that I film a Puff Wednesday today. I haven't heard back from John, and I did email him or message him already, so we will see. He shows up bright and early for church. Not so much for Puff Wednesdays. I know he's busy, but man, I'd love to get a Puff Wednesday on there. Love to get a Puff Wednesday happening. I mean, one of my favorite shows, I'm not going to lie, is Puff Wednesday. And just doing crazy shit with John, going up on mountains, flying the drone over. I think we're ready. Oh, yeah. Hey, Tom Allen, welcome to the room. How do they separate cellulose from ganja? Well, ganja, being cannabis, the cellulose is wrapped around the fiber of the stalk. So what they used to do in the old days was they would leave it in the field, kind of in water, and the water would ret the hemp. They called it bowing, where the straight hemp stalk would start, like you'd have breaks in the stalk, and then you'd see fibers broken away from the stalk. And as that started to bow, you could ret the hemp. And retting basically was one of the hardest jobs known to man, which is quite funny because if you look back at historic photos from the 1800s, it's generally Eastern European women who are out in the fields hand retting the plants. Or after they've retted, they're basically crushing them. They have a piece of 2x4 or 2x6 with a handle on it. It's got a hinge, and underneath they have more boards, and they just feed the hemp through with one hand and crush it with the other. And that's basically going to separate out the fibers from the cellulose. At that point, you could you separate them out, you collect them, and then you can clean, and you can do with the cellulose as you need, and you can do with the fiber as you need. Generally, they'd probably turn it into, put it on a backstrap loom and turn it into actual proper fiber. So, I don't know why I knew the answer to that question, but I did. All right. That was a good one, the Colonel Bruce rip. Give us 10 reasons why your bubble bags are better than the rest. Okay, well, let's see. Bubble bags was not first. We were second. But we set the bar immediately. We came out with 3 bags. So we had a 25 micron when no other bags had the 25 micron. The other isolator bags thought it was silly to save anything that was under 70 microns. We proved very differently over the years, as now even the isolator company themselves copies our 25 micron bag, as well as all the companies for that matter. We are the originators of the screen sizes from 220 down to 25. We chose those screens. And we developed them over time using different screens to find the ones that we wanted. Thanks to, of course, the wonderful work done by Rob Clark in Hashish and many other people, like Reinhardt with his patents and Eldon with the discovery of the bag system. There's lots of people to thank, but bubble bags definitely set the bar with adding of the bags and creating the 8-bag stack. So we also never bought the cheapest material, but instead always purchased the most expensive material. Now, when you're an operator of a business, you're looking to save money generally anywhere you can, because if you can save money, you're going to turn that into profits. But the problem is when people lower their integrity and they step over the line and they start lowering the integrity of the product that's now going to be available to the person. I didn't want to do that. So I went and bought the highest grade materials that I could buy. Everything I buy in bubble bags, from the thread that's used to put parachutes together, to the super high-end nylon, to the highest-end screen that you can't even buy in China. I get it out of Switzerland, and let me tell you, it is expensive. There's Johnny B just texting me up. And so I guess that would be another reason. Maybe reason number 2 is that bubble bags are of the utmost highest quality. Now, reasons number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, I'm telling you, 5 reasons at least, is me. The information that I will share with you and the customer service that you will receive from my products are going to be second to none of that, I can promise you, 100%. If someone was truly upset with my product, I would refund it. The only way my product doesn't work is if you don't put anything in it. And that's why the original bubble bags have been warranted for life. Not for 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, but for life. And the information that I have put out on the internet over the course of the last 18 years has also been fairly second to none in regards to the making and the sharing of hash. Now, that got to the point where so many people were copying, doing what I was doing, that I felt I was safe to move to the next level, which was to create shows like Hash Church and the Wake and Bake episodes, where we could kind of, make a point on being in touch, if you will. I like to be available. One of the things for bubble bags was the more popular they got and the more known that I got, the more available I wanted to be. I didn't want it to work in the opposite direction, which was like, oh, yeah, he sold a bunch of bubble bags now and he's too big to talk to any of us. I talk to everyone all the time. No matter who they are, it doesn't matter if you're Woody Harrelson and I'm bumping into you at the airport, or if you're Joe Blow, I don't know you, but you're excited to tell me about the bags that you bought, and I always have time for people. I'm very, very approachable. I appreciate that, Ryan J. I do. I would never ask anyone not to buy other bags, because I have to say, other bags have also helped make many sales for bubble bags. When they fall apart, when they have terrible customer service, they're in it for the top layer. They want to scoop the cream off these copycat companies. They're not innovators. They haven't been innovating and promoting this information and educating about it. They're not obsessed. They didn't learn macro photography just so they could see what was going on at those levels. And I truly am. So, Lois Lane, take it easy. Say hi to your patient. I've smoked people out at the grocery store, Jacob Bodner. It's true. In elevators, in airports, and all over the place. I will be at Lyft this year in Toronto. Maybe I'll put up my dates and we'll have a huge session at the airport. How many of you would show up at the airport for a session? That'd be pretty fun. Anyway, I think I lost track of 8, 9, 10. Why those other reasons? Those ones are all good. Bubble bags will pay you back, tenfold of what you put into them. So they're not really a cost like a fancy pipe or something that you buy for yourself but never retrieve the funds back. The value that comes back to you from bubble bags is immense. It will change the way you grow or look at cannabis. It will bring trim or bud into your life if you have the ability and the tools, because not everyone does. I always say if you buy them, it will come. It's a true story. I guess recently we made the lights available, which are half the price of the originals. I did in fact end up going and doing what I said I would never do, which was cut a bunch of corners, buy some minorly lower grade materials, still much higher than almost everyone in the industry that's copying, but minorly lower, and all of that savings I passed on to the customer, and those are half the price for those bags, the bubble bag lights. They are, of course, only warranted for 1 year. Bubble bag originals are warranted for life. Yeah, they suck, dude. They suck. Thank you, Elliot. That's what it's all about. I think that would be reason 8, 9, and 10. Bubble Man's passion. I mean, the bottom line is I'm not in this for anything else to truly, if you honestly want to know why I started the company, yes, I wanted to be able to, have a life with my family and have a business that paid for that life. Nothing completely over the top, but a reasonable business that paid for the life of my kids and my wife and myself. But more importantly, I really, 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 really wanted everyone to have access to hash like what I had. I wanted them to be able to be like, oh yeah, look what I got, Bubble Man. And over the years, I have been so impressed with the things that what you guys have brought to me, whether I'm in Amsterdam at the Cannabis Cup, or whether I'm at the Spanibus in Barcelona, or whether I'm in the jungles of Jamaica, sitting up on Blue Mountain above Kingston. I am constantly impressed and surprised by the work that people put in with these tools. So Bubble Bag is a tool. It will be a helpful tool in your life. It will add value to your crop. It will bring trim to your life if you don't have access to it already. And Next question. Eat the dab, sprinkle some terpenes on the lip. When are we getting a Bubble Man hash press? I don't know, Clinton. It's not really I think Sasquatch has done a wonderful job, and I kind of like getting behind them, helping them sell their units. I don't need to have my name on things. I'm quite happy to just use their brands. I'm happy to support other brands. Yeah, it's true, Sean. Yeah, this is actually the Legends of Hashish that happened in Barcelona last year. We were supposed to throw one this year as well. We were going to celebrate Franco Aloha. Franco Loha from the Strain Hunters, and I wanted to actually briefly, before this ends, talk about my friend Guy's magazine called Grow. So this is a magazine that he's doing out of Portland right now, and I met him at the ICBC conference in Vancouver not too long ago. This one's really cool. You can't see it, but there is a bud in the white. You have to take it under LED lights or out into the sun, but when you do, there's a whole cover on this cover, and it's a giant bud with some words, and at the top of the bud he's got Bob Marley's image sort of like photoshopped over top of it. So it's a really cool magazine. I am, of course, one of the contributors, so it's kind of nice to be up on the contributor page. Let's see where we got here. Oh, this is like a crazy... I can't find that shit thing going on. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so there it is. Guy Holmes on the bottom, Ed Rosenthal in the middle, myself on the top. And this was the Jamaican issue. This was the issue that I went and saw. We did CRD business, but we also had... it was Bob Marley's birthday in Kingston, Jamaica. So there's a nice little article. It's a nice little magazine. He's got a lot of nice pictures of buds and stuff. Lots of different articles. More articles than advertisements, which I was happy to see. There's the Jamaican article right there. My brethren Kevin from Steam Team Ja. Why don't you guys go jump on Instagram and give Mr. Steam Team Ja a follow. And then also this brethren right here in the middle is Justin Binoe, Bynoe. And I want you to Google him as well. He's awesome. He sings with his kids and he does live YouTubes. I'm going to try and share the next time I see him do one. But he's in here as well. We talk a little bit about him. And I wrote an article as well for this one, as well as, a bunch of other great people. Ed's in each article, each episode, magazine, each issue, sorry. I'm talking about episodes more than, it's kind of a cool one right there with the computer, a little Hash Church shout out. So give it a shot. Go check out Grow Magazine, the quintessential cannabis horticulture magazine. It's nice. I really like what he did with the front. That's kind of cool. I'd never seen anyone do that before. I wish I could show you with the right light so this would show up, but I do not. Yeah, Richie Spice. Steam Team Ja has a sick page. Yeah, go give Steam Team Ja a follow and tell them Bubbleman sent you. Go give Justice Bino a follow or a subscription on YouTube and tell them Bubbleman sent you. What was that question about GMO? Let me open it up here and see what you were saying. It's going to take a second to catch up now. Yeah, well, that's just it. You know that. I'll meet up at the airport for the sesh. Look at that. We already got one. Oh, no, there's a good conversation to get people out. Bubbleman, have you heard about the GMO bud production? I've been reading up on it. I'm not sure, but I would like your input on it. Is it possible they will do that? Okay, Dustin Stevens, let's talk about GMO because this is an interesting question. And I'll tell you right away, GMO is like one of those heavy conversations like Israel and Palestine or vaccinations and not vaccinations. So it's kind of a little bit of a tricky situation. If you fall onto one side of the okay, right off the bat, GMOs are scary because of what Monsanto's doing with them. Now, there are GMOs that are not scary when they produce a rice that grows and produces twice the yields that they normally would. When you have starvation in the world, a GMO like that, not produced by an evil company, by Monsanto, that's infusing toxic poisonous chemicals into the seed embryo so they're present for the entire life cycle of the plant, that's fucked up evil shit. But there are other forms of it that are like just good people, scientists trying to make things better. The same way you're trying to do breeding. I'm not going to get into the semantics of it because I'm not 100% in the understanding of it, and I certainly wouldn't win an argument or a debate about it. But we can all agree Monsanto is evil. We can all agree that putting toxic chemicals into seed embryos so that they're present for the life cycle of the plant is evil, and obviously that those would end up in our systems if they put it into our food chain is evil. But I've definitely met, like my one friend, Dr. Daryl, who had done this GMO on rice that was able... Now, here's the thing with Monsanto. And this is what he says. This is an interesting thing. He's saying that Dr. Daryl Hudson is saying that Monsanto was the number one funder of the anti-GMO movement. He's saying they created this big anti-GMO movement, and what it did was it raised the prices of GMOs. So GMOs are like, I don't know, it's like maybe $700 million or something, or some insane amount of money to get a GMO license. So basically only evil companies like Monsanto can exist in that realm, whereas people who might have just come up with unique ideas that were not evil-based and that were not going to poison and kill humanity, but otherwise maybe potentially save and help humanity, is that they are unable to access the world of permitted GMOs because of so many people fighting against Monsanto for their evil GMOs. It's so evil, it's like next level evil. It's it's definitely a part of it, it's a trick attack, but you got to be careful because it's not just GMO foods, it's particular types of GMO foods. Keeping in mind, before Haber and Bosch created synthetic nitrates, which they did for Hitler for World War II because he did not want to rely on Chile for his synthetic nitrates, for his explosives, he had Haber first design and create a method of creating synthetic nitrates, and then Bosch commercial and industrialized it to produce it on a mass scale. This changed everything. Yeah, it allowed Hitler to do massive damage and kill millions of people, but on the flip side of that, and this can be read all about in Michael Pollan's incredible book, The Omnivore's Dilemma, what it also did was it produced hundreds of bushels of corn per acre, which had never been done before. We used to get 20 bushels of corn per acre, and when we started growing corn, when our farmers started growing corn with synthetic nitrates, we were able to produce hundreds of bushels of corn, which was responsible for feeding, probably close to 1 billion of the 7 billion people on the earth. So there's two sides to both of these coins each time. Nothing's really black and white, and I don't pretend to know enough about it, but I would say if you want to learn about it a little bit, Michael Pollan has some pretty interesting things. There's no more GMO than corn, and corn is a trippy product. It's definitely responsible for a lot of people being alive right now on the planet. If it wasn't the way it was, many of those people couldn't exist. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I definitely know what side I sit on of evil GMOs that do harm and are, for nothing other than pure profit and not for actual. There's always that profit, and then there's always the help of humanity. We always have the two choices. Which one's going to be your focus? Over here, the profit is what I consider growing for vegetative yields and flowering times that are as short as possible. Whereas over here, in the good for humanity section, that's where I'm like, just grow beautiful cannabis, extract it, purify it, process it, and get it to a clear, perfect medicine that could be used either recreationally or medical, and it will offer the highest level of both of those constituents. Seasons Green, that's exactly what I said. Selective breeding is a form of GMO. Zach, you need to read more, man. See, it doesn't matter. If you start talking about this, it's like any of those conversations. People will fall to one side, and if you try to even sit anywhere in the middle and have an honest discussion, people just trip out. I mean, that's why I repeat over and over again, GMOs from Monsanto are evil, and they're not even in the conversation. But they should potentially get a proper definition of GMO, like maybe Monsanto has a special GMO definition because their GMO sits over here on the pure profit and the not helping of humanity, and in fact does the opposite of helping because they're so focused on profit. Of course, they're getting big fat yields, but the resin is of utter and total crap. This is a metaphor I'm speaking in, unless I'm losing anyone. Yes, Western-looking building sounds like politics. It does sound like politics. Maybe we should hit one more rip and we'll call it a day. Let's talk about bubble bags a little bit more. We've talked about drying bubble hash. We've talked about keeping it in the desiccant box and getting it really dried and properly done, but let's talk about what bubble bags can do for us in regards to the learning of how well we're growing and of what potential expressions the genetics we have are able to express, the maximum expression. And so for me, I always learned from bubble bags. When I ran something 2 or 3 times, grew it myself, had others grow it, it wasn't hard to give up on something that 5 or 6 times down the road never produced anything melty. So I allowed my bags to direct me to find better cultivars and to grow those cultivars the best that I could. Let me tell you an old funny story from Amsterdam. All right, well, let's see. Which story could it be? There's so many stories. I mean, Amsterdam is a ridiculous place. I guess I could tell you the first time I ever went to Skunkman Sam's house and smoked his utterly and completely devastating 99.9%, the birth of the 99.9%, because when I went to his house and he allowed me to photograph that hash, that's how all of you finally got to see it. If you went back to Overgrow days or International Canographic days, you would see that is where those pictures first showed up, and nobody had posted those pictures prior to that. Many people do now that tricks and tips have been handed out and that the photo has been shown to even know that it could exist. But before that, they did not. And Rob Clark used to tell me, oh, I was over at Sam's house. Oh my God, I was cross-eyed. I could barely walk when I left. And I kind of was like, I'm like, really? Like, you're going to blow smoke up the guy's ass like that? Like, he got you so high, Rob, that you were walking like crooked and like could barely, come on. Come on, I kind of doubted him. In my mind, I never said it to him because he was one of my mentors, and I was kind of like, damn, Rob Clark's my friend. This is awesome. But every once in a while, he'd say something like that. And so when I finally ended up at Sam's, and I guess I didn't realize first going to Sam's back then especially was he was kind of like, I'm going to see what this guy can do. And he puffed me down so hard. Like, I don't even know if it was 20 or 30 or 40 rips. He definitely took at least that many. And it was material that he grew, material that he bred, material that he processed. And let me tell you, all three of those things were perfection. Perfection. I've never seen anything as strong since. I've grown stuff that's been good, but you have to understand, he traveled to all the hash producing countries. He collected all the genetics. He paid PhDs to work in a lab to direct and help his breeding techniques while with licensing in greenhouses for decades. Okay, like Sam's forgotten more than the rest of us will probably know all combined together for a while. It was absolutely skunk number one sift, and it was fucking crippling. First of all, it was the fruitiest, most tastiest fucking thing I ever hit in my life. It turned to water and dripped right through the screen, and then he put a little bit more on the screen, and we were hitting it with wooden matches, and it was just... When you exhaled it, it was so strong of a rush that I suspect it's what people felt like right before they passed out. I've never passed out in my life. I think Sam was trying to see if I would because he fed me about 20 or 30 of those. And I took them. I took them all like a puffer should. And it was enjoyable. It was amazing. It was psychedelic. And I'll tell you, when I walked out onto the streets of Amsterdam from his apartment, I was literally walking the way Rob said. My one leg felt super heavy and my other leg felt super light. It would just go up, but my other leg would kind of do this thumping thing. And I was completely I couldn't believe it actually. I was so happy when I finally got into a cab. He kind of lives in these buildings. You got to walk a little bit before you can get into a spot where a cab's going to see you. But let me tell you, I was so completely destroyed. No hash has ever destroyed me like that. You know, I've smoked some nice dry sift and some nice bubble hash from many a people, but nothing, I'm telling you nothing, not even the strongest anything I've ever made has done what that did. And that really let me realize how far away we still are, because the majority of this greatness that we have access to, a lot of it comes from Sam's genetics and breeding, but it's been diluted to the point where it's never a 10. I never see it as potent. I never see it expressed to perfection. You know, I can see some 9s and some 8s, but it's really very rare that I see the 10s these days. Makes me want to grow, to be honest. How long ago was this? Do you remember the date? It was probably 2002, maybe 2003. Could have been 2001, I can't remember. I first met Sam in 95, but we were very sort of distanced. From 95 to 2000, I was friends with Rob. Rob had been to my house and stayed at my house in Vancouver, and I visit him at his house in Amsterdam when he lived near the Tolstraat. And it was good times. Then meeting Sam, I got to think, because we went to Jamaica together with my family and him and his wife. Rob came as well. We had a nice little trip to Jamaica, and that was epic as well, making bubble hash with my hash mentors. I'm not going to lie, that is, it's one of those little things that my most special moments I don't really share. You would have never seen a picture of me and Sam and Rob making hash. There is no picture of it. You know, Sam's a very private guy. He doesn't like his picture taken, and I've never been interested in it. I think I know Bulletproof 420. Sounds familiar. Oh yeah, Great Hash, that's right. Yes, he does. There's lots of guys on Instagram with Great Hash. All you have to do is grow great bud. Yeah, let's hit a dab right now. I'm heating it up. Heating up the banger. Yeah. All right, sounds good. Let's get a little scoop of this. Here for the growers. Tay. Actually, let's just do the, forget about the scoop. We're going to do the swipe. I read of Skunkman Sam thought that how you were supposed to smoke, so me and my friends would roll all we had into joints 7 out of 4. Smoke 7 joints till they were gone. Yeah, that's how Skunkman Sam rocks, dude. Sam's awesome. It was a skillet tool. I have used Remo's weed. Made bubble and dry sift with Remo. And vaped plenty of his herb. Turned it into hashish, man. Hey, how about that? We just broke 300 people. That's super cool. I think that might be one of the first times we've done that on the Wake and Bake. Obviously, we've gotten over 1,000 on Hash Church in the past. But 300 on Wake and Bake is pretty cool. I do appreciate it. Was I missing any parts of the stories? No, I told you the full story. I told you. Not much, James Miller. Puffing and cleaning, puffing and cleaning. It's like 9:38. I'm kind of hoping I'm going to film today, but we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. We're going to have to use the bong cleaner. Thoughts on different kinds of dabbers and how they affect the flavors? Well, I will say this. The dabber, to me, does not affect the flavor nearly as much as the surface that it's hitting off of. And what I mean by that is it titanium? Is it quartz? Is it sapphire? Is it ceramic, silicon carbide? There's so many different things nowadays that you can smoke off of that, to me, they all dissipate heat differently. And it's in that heat dissipation that changes the effects of the terpenes. Basically, on a simple way to explain it, the most volatile terpenes are reacting differently when they hit all of those different surfaces. And that, in turn, is affecting the entire flavor profile and, in my opinion, the effects. Probably very subtly, maybe too subtly for most to know, but guaranteed a machine could notice if we were testing each surface at different temperatures. I think that we would find unique patterns, particularly in the differences between, say, quartz versus sapphire or titanium versus ceramic silicon carbide. So that's just a thought, just a theory, just my opinion, but it's also based on quite a bit of dabbing off of all of these different things. I have many different D-nails set up simultaneously, temperatures exact the same. How's the weather out there? Well, it looks like a kind of a blue sky. Oh shit, I was supposed to go sledding today. I just remembered that. That's insane. We made this, this is a picture we jacked off the internet. Buddy's just sitting there smoking on his hash pipe. And it is, of course, the Barcelona Legends of Hashish, a party that also came to be while sitting on Skunkman Sam's couch in his living room, chain smoking his 99.9% Skunk Number 1 full melt dry sift. We came up with the Legends of Hash party. So, no, I didn't jack off anyone. I just took this off the internet, as in jacked it. Has cryogenic chamber dry sifting been done before? Well, Tyler Marino, to a degree, but that gets into a very tricky area in regards to the wax membrane and whether you're going to allow it to be, the moisture to be removed naturally so it can kind of raisin out, or whether you're going to flash pull it out in that uber cold, freeze dryer style. No thanks, Jonathan Martinez. Yes, like stole, not masturbate. You got it. Maybe jack isn't the best term to use in regards to taking something. Why did Cannabis Farmer call bubble bags a scam? Well, you know what? I don't know. I'm not too sure. Sometimes people are jealous. I think that I could stand very confidently in saying that bubble bags are not a scam. More importantly, you could ask any of the thousands of people that have purchased bubble bags whether they're a scam. I'm not too sure. Back in the day, they used to say that we stole the idea from the pollinator lady, Mila, so maybe that's why he was saying I'm a scam. However, that's all been proven to be untrue. The idea was actually created by Eldon, and Mark Rose, my manufacturer, came up with the names and started manufacturing them. Mila immediately sold the bags. So really, I was taking an idea from Eldon, Mark, and Reinhardt, and Eldon has passed away since, but I did take care of him while he was alive. Mark has been my manufacturer for 13 years, and Reinhardt and I have signed deals, and I've made sure that he's paid fully on his patent lease. So I felt like maybe the beginning of the Bubble Bag Company was a little bit like, oh, I don't want to really know, I don't want to hear about it. But eventually I heard it and I understood, no, he needs to be taken care of. He needs to be taken care of. And so it seems like everyone's taken care of in regards to that business. Thoughts on the highest quality tumbler dry sift style? I'm not too sure of the highest quality, Tobias. I haven't tried them all. I'd love to have a better one. I'd love to offer a really high, like a simple one that could be easily cleaned. Dry sift is pretty good in the sense that you don't have to worry about microbials because there's no water present, but you do have to maintain cleanliness and be able to have access sometimes with alcohol to get in there and clean out old resin. I don't like to use alcohol personally, but if I had to, I would use grain alcohol to clean it. Otherwise, I would just use forced air and make sure I keep it clean all the time and keep it cold. What do you think people like Sensi and Illuminate using skunk number 1 to make new strains? Well, I think it's great genetics, and it's out there. I think that we're lucky. We're lucky that that companies are doing that, especially if they're using the real deal stuff. You go into the coffee shops in the '90s, and everything was skunk number 1. Like everything was skunk number 1. It was insane. And most of the cultivars that Sam had, that he passed on in seed form to Neville, became Neville's seed bank. And then he sold that to Ben Dronkers, which became Sensi Seeds. And, I think it just kept moving along through all these big, most successful companies and the biggest names in the game. You can follow them back to some Skunkman Sam genetics. Ultrasonic emulsifier stick to stir bubble. Tried it, Joe Grow. Here's the thing with bubble. It's a super simple process. You got the water, you got the ice, you got the bags, you got the herb. You're freezing the trichome glands. You're breaking them off in the mixture due to the coldness. They're snapping and they're sinking. I have always found that in those simple methods, I can maintain an extremely high purity and an extremely high efficacy, meaning I can get the majority of the resin that is there that I want to get, not the bulbous heads, but the capitate stalks and the sessile stalks. I'm able to do that with the ice. I don't need it to be colder than ice. I don't need the mixing to be harder than or faster than a washer. I don't need ultrasonic wands to mix with. I've tried all these different things, and all I'm saying is, it doesn't make my yield better, and it doesn't affect my purity. And bubble bags, that's all you're dealing with, purity and yield. The quality has been made responsibly by the grower and the genetics, and that's it. But give it a shot. Would love to hear your thoughts on Frenchie's stainless machine, things you would improve, change, or remove. I haven't tried Frenchie's machine. It looks a lot like a stainless steel mixer with a linear actuator, which I'm sure he should probably be talking to Reinhardt, because that is now in breach of Reinhardt's patent. Reinhardt was selling stainless steel mixers with agitators for the last 15 years under his extractor.org website. You can go check him out. And he's definitely going to be involved with our project down in California, in the sense that we will be leasing the patent from him, so that any hash that's sold under the Bubbleman brand, he'll have made his piece. So that, to us, feels like the right thing to do. It's good to recognize people's intellectual properties. It's good to recognize patents, especially when they're strong and can be defended. And Skunkman Sam's written quite a few books, Dan McCabe. He's got one on pests with Rob Clark, and I think it's McFarland. You'd have to check out Rob Clark's name, and I think I wouldn't want to say Skunkman Sam's name because I know he doesn't like that, but it's out there. You can look it up and find it. He's got a couple of books. He definitely was responsible for a big chunk of hashish that Rob Clark wrote. I'm sure most of that book was spread out in pages on Sam's living room floor in the year prior to it coming to print. And so that would have been like 96, 97, I guess. These guys have been at it for a while. Anyway, 43.45 minutes. I do want to thank everyone for coming out. We got up to 301 people. That was pretty cool. And wake and bake, right? So how do we finish it? We say, may the full melt bless your bowl sooner than later. Peace out, everybody.